for the property maintenance ordinance, or is that correct, Chris?
No, I've advised that one be appointed, but to this day, I don't think one has.
We haven't done anything, so I think that we need to appoint.
Isn't it on a
5 members to it, and hopefully 3 will show up.
Isn't it on a case-by-case, as-needed basis, so that people aren't being appointed who potentially have conflicts?
At the last meeting, that is a possibility, but I think it is advisable to have one in place with alternatives.
Okay.
So you're not scrambling to put a board together while the time limit here in appeal is running out.
Then that's my fault. I misunderstood. I thought that it was.
Now, what are the requirements for this? What might come before the board?
If someone doesn't feel that the ordinance, it's not to say that, like, for example, one of the things we regulate is high weeds and grass. It's not to say that my yard doesn't violate the ordinance. That wouldn't come before the board. It's more along the lines of whether the ordinance is proper, whether we're regulating it proper, whether the code enforcement officer is properly interpreting the code, the proper maintenance ordinance. So it'd be more of an appeals board just to see if he's reading the ordinance correctly.
Chris, I think Elizabeth's point there is that we did adopt the ordinance, we just need to name some members. And I asked Dawn, we were asked to submit names to Dawn, and the board can vote on them. He said he hasn't got any names submitted so far. So if you have some suggestions, any board members, to submit them to Dawn, and next month we can appoint them.
Can the supervisor sit on this board?
Yes.
Okay, well, I told you before I'd be willing to sit on it. So that's one, so we need 4 more.
Well, I'd be willing to sit on it too, but I think one of the things we brought up with the supervisors is that we would ask any of the supervisors at the time if they would do it. But the thing is, Elizabeth, if it was something by one of my neighbors, I would recuse myself from sitting on the board. We'd pick another
So
supervisor.
have you picked 7 or picked 5 and 2 alternates?
Whatever. Is there anyone in the audience who would be willing to
I
sit
don't.
on such a board? If so, please let Dawn Janouska know we really need to move with this.
And you should discuss it with somebody before you submit it to Dawn. If you have a proposal, talk to them. If they're willing, then give that name to Dawn. And he'll get it to the rest of the board so we can be ready for it.
We have one more issue, maybe 2 more. And that's, we hired several people at our last meeting. And I have no problem with any of the hirees. I think that they will be very good. But I believe that we did something wrong. I believe that we should have advertised it beforehand. And I would like to have our board adopt a policy now to advertise any new positions that might come up.
Elizabeth, I wholeheartedly agree with you. I was not here for that meeting. At that point, I guess you could consider me just a resident. It was actually an item that I had to bring up. I was shocked, to say the least, to see that we hired 3 new people that I had absolutely no knowledge of, never had seen a resume, never had met, never had the opportunity to advertise for those positions. I expressed my extreme frustration with my fellow board members, just because I think it's very poor policy. So I would second that motion.
Well, I want to qualify with one thing, that these were employees for the Public Works, and I have utmost confidence in Bill's selection, but I still think that we or he need to interview. And I think that we need to advertise beforehand, and this wouldn't necessarily be for Public Works, it could be for whatever position in the township. But I think that at least whoever's in charge of that decision or that section should have the opportunity to make the final decision or participate in the final decision.
So you making that form from a motion?
My motion is that we advertise. We have a policy of advertising for any new hires in the future.
I second that.
I do have a question. Did somebody authorize you to interview these people for these jobs, Bill, or what?
No.
How did you come up with the names then?
With knowledge of their.
Can't hear you.
I had no knowledge of their work experience.
Well, I think that the motion, I got a question on it. Are the supervisors going to do like we've always done? The supervisors do the interviewing. If it has to do with our zoning, then Bruce is pulled into it. If it has to do with our public works, then Bill is pulled into it, or whatever.
I think the most weight should be given to the head of the department. Should be involved in the, my concern is not so much that we get to interview, but that the position is advertised.
How about we write a policy, you could, or I could, or Dawn could, whoever, that is approved, so that we're not just talking about generalizations, but this is something that I will not let go of. I understand what you guys feel sometimes when you're sitting out there, because that's exactly how I felt last month. I had no knowledge that there were even any considerations of hiring. We made a promise to the fire departments when we were hiring that we would consider hiring somebody who had either fire experience and would be willing to be on daily, or interest in getting trained. That kind of went out the window with these hirings. It just makes us look bad. And in this day and age, there's absolutely no reason, in my opinion, why people should be handing resumes behind closed doors to other people. If we have a position that's open, it should be discussed, it should be advertised, and we should interview. Whoever needs to be in that interview is fine, but that's the way that it needs to take place. It just makes us look bad. Like, that's just plain and simple.
We have a motion in a second.
Well, who hired these people?
Not me,
Who hired them?
the board.
What board?
Our board hired them.
Can I see which one? Put your hands up.
It was 4 members present.
I voted for
They
it.
went in executive session, they had their meeting, they came out, Mr. Butler represented names, salaries, and the board voted on it. That's how it was done. When they were asked at the last meeting how they got this information, they admitted it was never advertised, that he knew 2 of the 3 people that were done, and one of them was a resume that applied for the financial administrator's position. That's how she got.
What I'm saying, who voted for her?
This board did last month.
Which one? Raise your hand. Raise your hand, that's all I ask. Raise your hand.
4 of us, Cindy was not here. 4 of us voted for it. I was one of them.
Well, that's all 4 of your fault then.
The one position had been advertised and we hadn't been able to fill it. And I can understand that one, but the other 2, I think you're right. We should follow protocol on it. Advertise.
Okay, there's a motion.
That should have been stopped even before anything happened.
It should happen.
But it took place at the end of the meeting, it is.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, when there was nobody here is when they.
Oh, yeah.
There is a motion and a second.
But that's-
Those in
that's
favor
how much
signify by
conflict we
saying
have
aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, Carol, will you put it? Unanimous. All right, you said that was the last thing, Elizabeth?
Yes.
All right, Cindy?
There is
She's
something
not
else,
mine.
but, I think Bob Obrist is here to speak. This is on the blighted homes, that I had asked people to please let us know. And I think is that what you're here for tonight? Is that what you're here for tonight, Bobo?
I'm here concerning
I'm sorry.
our situation in use with the properties being totally neglected.
Can you do me a huge favor and step to the microphone just so we can, everybody can hear you?